Hello guys and welcome to the channel. This is Bevarol. In today's video we finally got the last look at the last 3 classes and how they're gonna use Spear. The new weapon coming with the next expansion, the Thieves Wild. They are Mesmer, Revenant and Elementalist. So starting with the Mesmer, the weapon is described as a high damage mobility weapon. So it's a power weapon most likely, and it will give you a lot of mobility and do some crazy damage if played well. And the idea behind it is that it uses the beauty of their environment in order to create different patterns in their attack. So animation wise, the skills will have different patterns that you can see. So how it actually works in game, the core idea behind it is skill 2. Because skill 2, Mind the Gap, that's how it's called, will swing the spear around you in a circle if you position it right. So it really care about position, and hit the enemy with the outer side of, or the edge of the area of effect that it causes. You will do more damage and gain an effect called Clarity. So if you just stick into the enemy or hit it from inside the hitbox, if you don't touch it with the outer side of this attack, you will not get this effect. So it needs a careful position. And if you do that, the Clarity effect will allow you to enhance or imbue the next pattern you create, meaning the next skill, with a stronger magic. And they give an example on the fourth skill. It's called Phantasmal Lancer. It allows you to dash at your foe, striking them with your spear. As you dash, a phantasma is created from your starting location and it will dash through you, striking the initial target and enemies past it. But if you enhance the Phantasmal Lancer with Clarity, like if it is the next skill after getting the Clarity effect, you will summon 2 phantasmals at your flank and each of them will dash and meet to perform simultaneous strike to your target. This reminds me of something like the Untamed skill, Toxic Spores, I think it's named. If you hit the enemy with the 6 spores, so you need to put it right under their feet, not just the inside of it while you're in front of them, or you hit it while kiting. No, you have to be really putting them under them. They will get a knockdown instead of simple damage. And besides, they will eat every part of its damage. And this is a very careful position. It either you need to CC the enemy before it, or immobilize it, or teleport on it, something like that. So I hope ArenaNet will not see people complain about this, it's too difficult, and change it. And even if they did, then after release or after the beta, I hope they will change it with keeping in mind the entire mechanic of the spear. So they will modify the damage, other skills, what they do, stuff like that. Because if you change something that's very functional or dependent on for the weapon or the class, the system or the build you're trying to do, you can make a mistake and change one thing and leave the other, so it's not becoming balanced. And we've seen multiple changes across a long time with Untamed because of that. It was designed as a PvP style, was something like Trait Fervent Force, and then it became too powerful in PvE, they had to remove it, and they have to adjust the boons multiple times trying to fix the original design. So I hope they keep this, as they kept it for the Untamed, for example. It's not supposed to be this easy, and I don't think it's complicated to begin with. So I like the design, and I hope they stick with it. And even if they change it, I hope they pay attention to the other weapon skills and how the entire thing works. Now with Revenant. So Revenant weapon is described as a condition-based hybrid weapon. So it's mostly focused on condition, even so it's a hybrid weapon. And it is both kind of range and melee. It has the same design as the Ranger's Spear, with auto attack work in range and in melee at the same time. So the entire kit revolves around specially skill 5. Skill 5 called Abyssal Raise, and it is ground target with 3 ammunition charges. It can hit up to 5 targets, and every time you hit enemies with it, you can gain up to 2 stacks of an effect called Crushing Abyss, for a maximum stacks of 5. And with the maximum stack reached, you will reach the most effectiveness, because it will increase the potency of the skill Abyssal Raise. So the skill itself will give itself this effect, and this effect will make it even stronger. And every other spear skills have ways to reduce the cooldown of the ammunition, or basically refresh it, in order for you to keep constant pressure. So the first skill, the auto attack, basically is a hybrid range alternating melee strike, and each of them reduce Abyssal Risk cooldown by a very short amount when striking a target. Your second skill is the bread and butter. It's an area of effect attack on target, so it will land on target and hit everyone around it, and would reduce the Abyssal Raise cooldown by nearly a full ammunition count. The third skill reduces the cooldown by a static amount and is a movement ability that leaves Abyssal Mine in your wake. And you can see the skill in the video actually. And the fourth skill serves as a delayed area control ability that help you to land an optimal damage as your enemy attempt to flee. So the weapon have a CC, have a defense style movement that will move you backward, it seems gonna be very strong damage and constant pressure. It's even a sustained damage, not a simple burst. So this weapon, I hope they really pay attention on the balance side from it, because it can be very, very powerful, more than it should. There is this downside to a design like that when you keep building into one skill that can be hit repeatedly or used multiple times, that it can't be too strong. You destroy an enemy in competitive in seconds, while you can actually keep using it again and the enemy can't avoid it, and you can make it weak or the entire system doesn't work well enough. This problem have faced multiple designs, like Second Soul Beast comes to mind if you think about it, but this is a balance issue, not a design issue. We will see when the weapon come into the game. Now for Elementalist. So, as many would probably predict, it is a ranged power weapon that is very bursty to kinda give the Elementalist what they lacked in staff. So Elementalist struggle with range weapons. The staff was the only thing, and it is mix of support and damage and control. It's a lot of things in the same bucket, if you want to say. So Revenant have introduced pistol as last weapon to be a condition ranged weapon, and scepter also a single-handed weapon, but it's quite a hybrid. So they finally made a full power range weapon. So the weapon itself is a range power damage weapon capable of conjuring powerful elemental forces, as such volcanoes, whirlpools and lightning storms, and it have some defensive tools, but it primarily focus on damage and crowd control, leading to a glass cannon style of play that will be more comfortable when you're unleashing spells from distance rather than being in melee. So they share with us quite the information about it. We basically understand the design of most of its skills. So starting with skill 4 Enlightening, Twister, and an area of effect target for a location that will create a twister that damage and inflict vulnerability on enemies in the area. However, if the enemy is closer to the inside part of it, will have an additional effect, and it will turn the mob a float. So it turned to a CC. And the similar effect for every 4 skill on this weapon, for fire, earth and everything. If you have your enemy in the center of it, it will have a higher effect. The same idea goes for skill 3, for example. They give us from earth, it's called Harden, and it will have a similar effect on every skill 3. And for this time, those are the defensive skills. So for Harden on earth, it will grant the user barrier and enhance their next strike for a spear to inflict daze on their enemy. And every third skill, also in fire, in water, whatever, will give some sort of utility and enhancement or empowerment to the user or the next spear attack. All the skills in the third slot also have a very relatively short cast time or none at all, so some of them will be instant, which is very important to the most important skill, which is skill 5. So the 5th skill for each element is basically a start-off skill that will be a quick cast for a spell circle on the ground, and then will turn to another thing if you unlock its conditions. And they give us an example in fire, and it's called Etching Volcano. Create a spell circle in the ground that will give might to the Elementalist. And will flip to Lesser Volcano, and it's a ground target spell that erupts to create several damaging strikes. How to unlock this full potential? You require to cast 3 spells inside the circle to be completed before reactivating the skill. And to do that, there is a value of having a short cast time for skill 3, for example, and some of them are instant, but you don't have to use only spear weapon skill. You can cast any utility skill or healing skill or whatever. So whatever utility you will have, or especially if it's ammunition or something instant, can really help you cast skill 5 for any element on Elementalist. So it has this flavor of a true wizard casting and doing spells with condition and magic and stuff. It seemed to be quite cool, and I think it fills a gap in the range part for Elementalist, especially the power side after the pistol have been introduced to Elementalist. And I think it's well thought because such condition can look difficult or annoying or something, but you can play around it depending on the build. So it has the design of your build, craft, and different tools. It have limitation and yet ways to very empower the play style. So I think it's well thought, at least from the outside, but we will see it in the beta. So that's it for the video. Ask anything you want in the comment or give me information if I missed anything, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.